You know what's funny? You know what's funny? And the one thing everybody seems to agree on. I say this shit all the time because it's always relevant. It's relevant to every conversation because you know what I mean. It is what it is. Now, every time I think of the Biden administration, I think of that administration was so terrible that people, the majority of America, voted for Trump. The majority of America thought that Trump would be able to do something that no president has done since Kennedy, since Kennedy, I guess, right? Since Kennedy, probably. Right? They thought that, well, what Kennedy was trying to do before, they dropped the top on him. People thought Trump would be able to, um, what did people think Trump would be able to do? Put America first, defeat the deep state, you know what I mean? Drain the swamp, etc., 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 etc. Right? All those things that he was saying when he first ran, when he ran against Hillary, right? All that stuff. All that stuff the Trumpster was saying. And all that stuff he was saying about Obama, and then he turned around and did everything that he said Obama would do. But that just shows you that the Biden administration was so terrible that people had so much faith that Trump was just would be a different type of president because he wasn't a career politician. Right? People always say he was a failed businessman and a bigot and a fraudster. Right? But at the time, people was like, he's a man's man, right? Because he said whatever he was thinking. He spoke his mind. He seemed to have balls. People thought he was ballsy, right? Well, you see that he's not. You see that he was bought and paid for. You see that well, assassination attempts. People say that I was just seen recently that, well, I already knew Obama as the first black president or the first non-white president. I'm pretty sure he had assassination attempts on his life and death threats through his whole 8 years. Right? I mean, look at the change in appearance. He aged like in dog years being president. He was so stressed. Right? So, you know what I'm saying? And then he had all his shit going on, and then his policies, and as an American president, and the Zionist regime, or yeah, that runs the White House, you have to bomb a African nation, or an African country, or overthrow a African, what they got, they always say the dictator, right? So of course he did that, right? And then you always have to have a cause or a marginalized people that you champion, or right? But they can't be black, right? They can be Hispanic, so some kind of immigrant, or a part of a community, right? Um, Transgender, or a part of the LBGTQ community or something like that, right? They can't be black. Um, that's what I think of when I think of Kamala running for president. First thing I think of when I think of her is that statement of, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something just for black people. No, right? And then I think of her running as a black woman when she was voted in or sworn in as the first Indian American attorney general or something like that, right? So where did all this black woman stuff come from? You know what I mean? You gonna tell me that Obama not black? You know, a lot of people say he's not a real black, or he's not a real black person or whatever. But you want to tell me that she's black? You know what I mean? It's shit crazy, right? But whatever. Then they want to bring out the rappers and the twerkers and shit. You know, this same shit. You know, you got Biden, and I can't believe people even voted for Biden. Black people even voted for Biden. You know, if you're not black, you know, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. You know what I mean? That's like some most like people are talking about racist shit, bro. Come on, bro. Man, if Obama would have like, if you ain't white if you don't vote for me, man, motherfuckers would have went crazy. Or Trump would have said that shit, motherfucker would have went crazy. But that just show you that the Biden administration was so terrible that the majority of America voted for Trump, right? Because Kamala was a part of that administration, so that's why the doors got blown off. And she never did anything or said anything to separate herself from a lot of those policies and a lot of those decisions. She stood firm on a lot of that bullshit, right? Which was crazy. Made excuses in certain cases. I mean, they all do that, but I'm just saying. But people always like to play partisan politics, and they want you to think that it's different if you're on the blue or the red side. Right? What's the difference between Crips and Blood? And it's a game, right? Right? It's a game, right? They pretty much do the same thing, right? When you people be talking about all this black on black violence and crime and gangs, right? A gang is a gang, right? A cartel is a cartel, right? So a politician is a politician, especially if they're being funded by the same lobby. What's the difference? When their interest is the same and their interest is not America. What's the difference? Or which party they represent? Yeah. Whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, when your pockets are being lined by the same groups. So that's my whole thing. So, and it shows in every corner, right? So yeah, but when I think of the people are like, oh, if you had a chance to do it again, I bet people wouldn't vote for Trump. They would. They still wouldn't vote for Kamala. It's funny to me because the interest of one group, the interest of one nation, seems to be put above all here in America. Right? So we're gonna do everything that a foreign entity want us to do. That shows you that America has no power when it comes to its the American people, its citizens have no power when it comes to its politicians. And that's not even how it's supposed to be. Hey, you're supposed to overthrow a tyrannical government, right? So if you see your politicians or your state representatives or whatever, and they're not doing what's in the interest of you as a citizen, you're supposed to vote them out. But people be so busy looking at parties and which party someone represents that they cast votes that's not even in the best interest of the country. That just show you how stupid people are, how dumb people are, right? If you think of the 60s and the 70s, um, I think people were more in tune with what their rights were, more in tune with what was going on in society. I guess now with people are so busy, you know, with filtering their pictures on Instagram and Facebook and getting their Twitter fingers going. And since you're so able to just talk so much shit over the internet, you don't really pay attention to what actually happens or what's actually going on in the real world because you're living in fantasy land. You think you got all this freedom that you don't have. People don't really see the censorship. People don't really see what's being taken away, right? We don't lost so much in these last 20 years. I would say, I mean, we lost more. If you think about it, you lost more. I mean, your dollar don't go as far. Your taxes are way up then from what they used to be. I mean, you done lost a lot. You done agreed to a lot of bullshit. You done let them mind fuck you into thinking that the things that they're doing are for your best interest. Like they care about you. And like they care about you. Like they actually love the people. Right? No, they love their pockets. They love money. They love mega mansions and yachts. They love expensive cars, luxury cars. They love being able to do whatever it is they want to do. They love being able to go to islands. They love being able to traffic people, traffic children. They love that. They love being able to be above the law. And the money, which brings the power, which brings the respect, because people don't pay attention to someone. People don't pay attention to character anymore, right? No morals, no values. The people don't stand for anything. They just got a lot of money. So that makes them powerful in America because we've been baptized in capitalism, right? I mean, look at the people that represent our religious leaders. They're terrible. Right? I mean, foreign nations buy our government, bought our government. And now that everything that we do, every war, every decision, every everything, every pretty much everything is based on what a foreign nation wants or a foreign leader wants, right? I mean, uh, the prime minister of Israel is here like every day. You would think he was the president. He's always on our TV screen. He's always talking about what's best for America. Like he really gives a fuck what's best for America. He already said he's gonna squeeze all of the juice out of this lemon or out of America and then watch it crumble and blow away or some shit. Right? But nobody cares because we're too busy. Right? And when people start paying attention, next thing you know, they're too busy being racist. I was looking at something this morning. Right? They're gonna have and I realized that you can have something just for certain groups, as long as it's not just for black people. You can never have anything just for black people. So that's what made me think of Kamala Harris this morning, right? That's what made me think of the Democratic Party this morning. That's what made me think of Obama this morning, right? Because I was thinking, like, you can't have anything just for blacks. You can have something just for gays, just for trans, just for Jews, um, just for Hispanics. You know what I mean? White people, of course, they always have their own spaces, but you can't have anything just for blacks. Blacks cannot have their own spaces either. These spaces have to be patrolled and policed and spied on and infiltrated. You know, we got to pay other black people to spy on them and keep tabs on them. You know, basically have it under 24-hour surveillance. You feel me? And then, you know, just like with the Black Panther Party, we'll pay a nigga to drug a nigga and then send the police in there and execute a nigga. Right? Hey man, you're getting too powerful. Your voice is too strong. You're making too much sense. you're doing too much right by your people in your community. And people always saying what black people don't have, or what black people can't do, or what black people don't want, right? And that they want to live separate from black people, right? They want to segregate. They want to have their own communities, which is cool. But every time black people have their own community, business, just their own lives separate from you, you bomb it, you burn it, you flood it, you eminent domain it, you build highways through it, railroad through it. So you want to have your own, but you don't want us to have our own. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You have to, you say you want to be left alone, then leave us the fuck alone. You can't want to be left alone, but then don't want to leave us alone. That's crazy. Then you got Elon saying, oh, if white people become the minority, we will be slaughtered. Oh my God. It's funny that he would think that. You know what I'm saying? And I know why he would think that, because if you look at history, white people have traveled the globe slaughtering people. So they feel like if they lose power, that people would slaughter them. But you got to understand that the majority of people don't think like that, right? The problem, the reason that you're able to, that the reason that Israel and Europeans have been able to get away with a lot of the things they have done is because the majority of the world is not murderers. The majority of the world is too nice and connected with nature. You know, too much morals and values and human decency, and just really just focus on themselves and minding their own business, just trying to grow and live. But I really focus on conquering and killing. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I mean, there's been a lot of empires. There's been a lot of wars, you know, over territory and over resources and just over expansion. So, you know, a lot of stuff is tribal. So I guess it's just human nature, right? But not to the scale of dropping atom bombs and, you know what I mean, dropping nukes on people. I don't think it's been to that level with normal people. You feel me? You have to be a monster to ethnically cleanse people, to be a genocidal maniac. That's a certain type of evil there, in my opinion. But it's just my opinion. You know, I could be wrong, but you have to have a certain disconnect when it comes to life, when it comes to nature, because when you nuke people, right, when you bomb people, you also destroy the land, right? The land that you want the land that you want to take over. You can't even live there after you nuke it. You know what I'm saying? Because you basically poisoned the soil. You know what I'm saying? So going nuclear doesn't even make sense unless you just don't fucking care. And you have to be a sick son of a bitch. A sick motherfucker, right? To think that's even a possibility. To think nuking people is even a possibility. To think of just dropping a bomb that caused that kind of damage is even in the cards, right? That's how you know that people don't have no conscience. People are real life psychopaths, right? Because that's some kind of, you're missing something, right? Because we can, if we as a people or as a nation can watch genocides happen, right? We can sit back and cry about a Holocaust that, that's been debated here and there about, was it really as bad or was it really as horrific as people say it was? But we're watching a whole genocide, and you can't debate this. You can't say this is not as bad as people think it is, because people are not thinking it. They're actually seeing it with their own eyes. All right? You don't have to create stories on this. You don't have to. You don't have to try to jazz it up and make it something that it wasn't, because you can actually see it. Right? We actually see schools and hospitals being bombed. We actually seen burned up and mutilated baby parts and bodies. We actually seen people getting blown to pieces. We actually seen people get turned to dust in front of our eyes. Right? It's news coverage. Right? We got the internet. So we don't have to trump it up and make it something that it's not, or something that it wasn't. Yeah. We don't have to create lies. We don't have to censor people from telling the truth. There's no debate. I mean, of course we are gonna try to censor people from telling the truth, because it's one side of the story that we want out. We don't want the truth out there like that. You know what I mean? And if you look throughout our history, as a nation, where we push lies a lot. We push lies. Um, we want group thinking. We don't really want any individual thoughts or individual opinions. We want a story to go one way, and we want you to agree with it, even if the facts don't make sense, even if your facts don't add up, right? Because when you go through certain stories in history, and you're reading it about it, and you're learning about it, and they're making movies about it, and then you do your own research about it, you're like, hey, this don't make sense. All right? Then you get labeled. They label you. Right? They label you just to stop you from talking, to stop you from telling the truth, to stop you from being honest. And it works, because a lot of people want to be liked. A lot of people don't want any backlash. A lot of people don't want anything negative attached to their name. You know, if you're telling the truth, you shouldn't worry about that. If you're being real and honest, you shouldn't worry about that, because the truth don't change. The truth is what it is, and motherfuckers ain't gotta like it. That's what people don't understand. If it's facts, it's facts. You can't lie. Facts don't change. So when I think about what's going on in this country now, uh, the swamp hasn't been drained. The deep state is very much alive and very much in power, right? And our president is twerking. You feel me? Uh, he's doing great business. He's making more money than he's ever had in his life. His family is getting richer. They're making so much money off the uh, I don't know off the backs. Hmm. Hmm. I don't know how I'm gonna put that, but they're making so much fucking money right now, right? and all of his friends are making money, and they're expanding territory, and they're bombing the fuck out of people, and regime changes, and supposedly to stop people from creating nuclear weapons or becoming a nuclear power. When it seems like in this day and age, with America and Israel, what term would I use to describe them? Being the bullies of the world, having a nuclear weapon is what you need to stop people from bombing you all the fucking time. It's just crazy. But it is what it is, because if you have a nuke, people will actually come to the table and talk to you. They won't pretend that they want to talk to you and then bomb the shit out of your country. You know what I mean? Shit, I believe that's why nobody's bombing Russia. So nobody's bombing China. You know what I mean? You're not gonna bomb somebody that can bomb you back. Right? You're not gonna bomb somebody who has the same weaponry as you, the same strength, or the same arsenal you have. Well, I don't know. This shit crazy. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Um, it's the world, and it's the greed of our American greed, and the greed of our politicians and elected officials is why we're in this situation we in, because everybody is greedy. And when it comes to American citizens, the American people, or even the Constitution, you know what I mean? They don't care about that. They're just gonna do what they want to do, and they want to put you in a space where you have nothing and you own nothing, right? You own nothing. You have nothing. You own nothing. You have no privacy. You have no rights. You have nothing. Right? You just work until you die, and that's it. Because by the time you retire and you think you're going to get Social Security, you retire, you're not even going to live long enough to enjoy that. You're not going to live long enough to enjoy retirement. You're not even going to live long enough to retire, because you're not going to be able to retire. And that's one thing people don't want to talk about. You're not even going to be able to retire. Your dollar don't go far enough for you to retire. You don't make enough money to not have a paycheck coming in. The cost of living is through the fucking roof, right? Rent is high, lights is high, water is high, groceries is high, gas is high, insurance is high. You don't make enough fucking money. You don't make enough fucking money to enjoy life, right? So you're gonna work yourself stupid, and then you're gonna fucking die. And that's the American dream. That's our politicians' dream. So they can play with your health care. They can play with your Social Security. They can move that money around and do what they want to do. They can pretend like your tax dollars is to fix infrastructure, while they add on to roads and then make you pay for them with express lanes and bullshit. Or they add to the congestion by taking 2 lanes away, and we're gonna make the road bigger, but we're gonna take lanes away and put fucking cones or sticks or whatever the fuck you call that, a border between it, and you have to pay to ride on this road that you just paid for with your tax dollars. Why? We're gonna keep charging you and charging you and charging you and charging you. We're gonna charge you for every fucking thing. We're gonna charge you to park. And this parking garage you just paid for with your tax dollars. We're gonna charge you to park on city streets that you paid for with your tax dollars. We're gonna charge you for every fucking thing. We're going to charge you for the house you just bought. And then we're going to build all kind of shit around it and raise your property taxes. We're going to price you out of your own fucking neighborhood. Who cares that you own this house for 20 years, 30 years? You know what I mean? You can't afford the taxes on it anymore. So you have to sell it and get the fuck out. And people think that's normal. People think that's cool. People don't seem to have a problem with that. People can steal your house. And people don't have a problem with that. So, like they said, you're going to own nothing. And they're going to make sure of it. You're not going to be able to retire. And they're going to make sure of it. You're going to work all of your fucking life. And they're going to make sure of it. They're going to make sure you don't have anything. And if they don't have you working all your fucking life, they're going to create something to have you locked in your fucking house. Right? You're going to be under surveillance all of your fucking life. You're going to be censored all of your fucking life. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to have any freedom. You're going to be living in a movie. A 90s movie at that. So maybe you should go back and watch a couple of them so you can see what's coming up. So you can see what the plans are, because the book has been written. We just had to dumb you down more, keep you distracted more. But don't worry, we'll be arguing about race and finding a way to blame everything on black people again pretty soon. Hey man, that's the world. With everything that's going on, we will always find a way to be racist and make it about race and make it about black people. Black fatigue. And as a black person, I have black fatigue. Right? But not that new age bullshit that you tried to co-opt and spin and make it seem like, oh, black people are so terrible. No. The original meaning of black fatigue